a new person in Texas, what does it take to do business well in Texas? Is there such a thing as a Texas way of business?
Well, I don't know that you'd say that, but I think that Texas has done a good job of continuing to understand that these regulations are all damaging. None of them really showing real promise for upward involvement for anybody. So I think that with the tort reform and with the other things that I've seen happen over the last 40 years, that we're in better positioned than others are. And just think in time what opportunities we're going to have to the north in Canada and to the south, particularly in Mexico, Central America, and South America. Because I think the best is yet to come. But we have to take the leadership, show the way, and lead to the harvest. So I'm very optimistic about if you're going to be in the field, Texas is the best place to be. If you don't care to participate, well, then that's another story.
You made two comments about your own worldview about how you approach business, which I love, resonated with me. One was you never did it for the money, and number two is that you expected to win. Is it fair to say, are those Texas virtues of business?
Well, yeah, I don't know. I think back of I love reading the history of anybody at any time, and if you look back to the people that came to Texas and what they're looking for was freedom and opportunity. I think that's still what we have here, and I think we do a better job of it than elsewhere. So until some of these other states wake up before they get drowned, which most of them are going to get drowned, then it just looks better for Texas. We take the leadership. We get some of these crazy regulations off where we can move product out of Canada, and not only to Texas, but around the world. And then if we can take advantage of the harvest that's awaiting us in Mexico and Central and South America, where they need technology and they have plenty of labor, it looks to me as if it's just going to be a great time to be involved in that. I know at the business school here, and I'm sure it's similar elsewhere, in the last 3 years, our graduates out of the business school on both the baccalaureate side and on the master's side all got signing bonuses as well as a job, and starting to pay for most of the people after signing bonuses in the baccalaureate side was from $50,000 to $59,000, $60,000, and up to say $55,000 to $70,000 for the master's degree people. Very good starting opportunities, and everyone that used the employment service at the university, which of course is there for the students and cost them nothing. Everyone that used that, that wanted a job, got a job. So we're doing well. We're fighting the bureaucrats within the UT system to allow crossover degrees to where we can take people in engineering and liberal arts and in other areas where we can take them and give them 4 basic business courses, and then allow our students to go over and get 4 courses over theirs. And we can do that in a year. Then in 5 years, we get master's degree type finishers, and instead of 1 degree, we get the 2 degrees, we get it done in 5 years. But there is bureaucracy that you find everywhere, every day. It's kind of like the devil, he never sleeps. And you just have to gear up and go get it done. But it is there. And I think that, now we operate out of Texas. We operate in about 15 states. but we are the best shot in Texas. You got a better chance of keeping more of your money and getting the money in the first place in Texas, I think, than you do any place in the United States. And on medicine, on this crazy thing that we're facing here in this medicine thing, which was alluded to today at lunch, we're all going to have to wade through that. It's going to be costing all of us. But the sooner we get away from it, the better. And there are people working day and night to get us away from it. That's what we have to do. When I ended up United Way in San Antonio, and the people wanted to write the program on what are we saying, what are we trying to accomplish and all, I said, well, we really don't need any time on that because it's pretty simple. We want, when the sun sets every night in San Antonio, that nobody goes to bed hungry, regardless. It just doesn't happen. We want in San Antonio, if anyone wants a job but doesn't have one, then we got to see that we help them find one. And if we do that, then we get over to the medicine side. And they say, well, they got no insurance or whatever such. Okay, so you may have to wait a little longer before you may not get the doctor you want. But we don't want anyone who needs medical service that can't afford it, that doesn't get it just because they can't afford it. And pretty simple, just pretty simple programs that we try to do, and I think Texas is full of it. And we just have to stay the course and not take the easy way out, which sometimes looks like the best way, but it never is, ever the best way. And you know, I've been an athletic team owner for 32 years when I had it alive. And every time you see a guy that's trying to get from A to Z and cut the way he gets there, he may get lucky a time or two, but you know he's not going to make it because in the long run it won't work. You have to pay the price to get there. So long answer to your question. I'm sorry for taking so much time, but that's what I kind of see that we're facing. I don't think there's ever been a better time in the history of Texas for young people than there is right today. I think this is the best time, and that's why I'm trying to do my workouts each day and see if I can crowd that time and get a little more time. Because at the end, you know, somebody says, well, what would you want more than anything else in the world? Well, I'll tell you what I want is one more day.
Ray, would you, Dr. Jim and Jim, I want to ask you guys both about, at least my experience has been when we first set out to defend some what seem to be some general tenets of limited government or free market, or in your case, your own personal Christian faith. We set out, I did, a little bit naively about, well, of course people would respect my ability to defend those positions. And often in the media and even people we work with, it ends up not quite going that well. Dr. Jim, I believe at one point you were called the most dangerous man in Texas. Tell us about being on the front lines. You set out to do just something you thought seemed pretty basic, but everybody hates you now.
Well, that happened after a particular disappointing vote in the Texas State House of Representatives where we lost by one vote. And actually the speaker came down off the dais and it wasn't going the way he expected, so he put a hold on it and lobbied just enough people that we lost by one vote. So I decided there was 5 Republicans that just needed to be replaced. And, I had no, they're a bit more sensitive. I don't know if I was the first one that ever did that or what, but I mean, there was this firestorm of criticism of, you know, how could you run against the incumbent Republican? And, you know, I just simply said, well, if they're not going to help the children, then I'm going to run against them in any way and every way I can. And, well, there was a lot of other little epithets, but what I remember most was that because I was helping 5 non-incumbents, I was the most dangerous man in Texas.
And how did you handle that? I mean, did you have moments of, you know, you hear stories about a friend at the country club not looking you in the face, or someone at church or a neighbor sort of never knew you were such an evil capitalist or evil free government defender? Anything personal happen?
You know, it was just the opposite. I first, when it was obvious I was going to be criticized in the media because I certainly wasn't politically correct, I sat down with my wife and we talked about it and said, it might be hurtful or harmful or upsetting sometimes, but I think, just like Davy Crockett said, be sure you're right, go ahead. And, I said, I'm sure this is the right thing. And, he didn't say, go ahead and do a poll or go ahead and do a study. He said, let's go to the Alamo and fight those guys. So that's what I concluded. And Cecilia was very supportive. And I sat my little kids down. They were, 10, 11, and 12 at the time. But I explained to them that, you might see something on the television or something on the newspaper that, I was a recluse and then I was a wild-eyed religious nut and, I just ignored all those things because I concluded there wasn't anything I could do about it. If you call them up and try to correct all the errors in the last story, then they just use that to validate their next incorrect story. So I just quit talking to them, and they just really didn't like that. They wanted some kind of controversy that they could write about. So I just kept doing that since they didn't like it, and my opinion was that I had no way to control or stop or even modify what they were saying, and anybody that I knew would know none of that stuff was true, so I just didn't worry about it. And I think the thing that helped the most really was just we had faith in God, and I was sure that we were doing the right thing. There were some times I opposed people who I wish I had, or that sort of thing, and only because, people who are really good legislators or really good individuals, but they voted wrong on school choice, and so, I backed the other candidate who was really a dud. And so, you always have, you make mistakes, especially if you're a political novice like I was. But at the same time, as long as you keep your eye on the higher purpose and not on the, you don't get in the political gutter and there's all kinds of stuff that you don't want to be part of. But, we just relied on the Lord to sustain us, when it was hard, and just kept doing what we thought was right.
I want to make a comment, if I might, on another thing that Dr. Jim said that I think we all have to, we got to really think about. We did get a break yesterday and get a little closer to school choice. Now, this idea of letting politics get in the way of letting the most precious asset we have, which is our children, we cannot allow that. We just can't allow it. And those of us even that say don't have kids in school now, we've got to be active and give these kids a chance. We owe it to them. They didn't ask to be born. If their parents are not going to do it for them, we have to do it for them. But we've got to get that choice in. Choice is not the answer to everything in the world, but it is a much better solution than anything that we have out there now. It's very simple. Choice is just that. And most people are going to take the right choice. We know if these kids are bright, We see the toys that they've got, which none of us can even work anymore. And they're bright, they know what to do with them. And you give them a chance. All this stuff about we don't have it is all wrong. You know, I've proven for myself, without going to personal anecdotes, that these kids are bright, and an at-risk school, you can take 4 years and bring it right back to the top. And give the teachers a chance, and those that want to, and those that don't want to work or want to teach, move on down the road. But we cannot let the unions control what happens in our schools. And we got people, like Jim says, that are really good people in every sense of the world, but they're in a union mode when it comes to teaching school. Well, we can't have it. You know, it's very simple. You've got to move them out of the way. And you do move them out of the way, these kids will get it. They will all get it. And now we got real good, solid movements going all over the state, and hopefully in other states, to where we've always known high school kids are absolutely capable of doing much more than what most of them do. So we get them in and start early on the first year in high school and get them through enough courses to get two years of the basics of the college that they go to. They've got a head start, they're ready for it, they do better work, and they can and will do better work. And we've proven time and time again, but we've got to get this choice, we've got to get it done. And I think we've got a better chance now than we ever had.
Well, Jim, this is the last question to you, and then we'll turn it over to Q&A, so do have some questions ready. I admire how you talked about building a Christian business and encouraging your employees to have the right ordering of priorities in their life. And I think there are a lot of analogies to those of us out trying to defend liberty that Leslie Newbegin has a great book, and the title is really illustrative. He talks about the gospel as being foolishness to the Greeks. And I think in a lot of ways, limited government and free market is foolishness to the liberals. And so curious if you just share a little bit about how you talk about your faith, knowing that to some people it is controversial. How are you winsome about how you do that such that we might learn how to be better communicators of the things that we believe in?
That's a good, can you hear me? Okay, I think that's a good question. You can appeal to them in one way. I think it's in Ukraine now. They're trying to promote Christianity, the government is, because they find the Christians are more reliable than the non-Christians. They have better work ethics. Christian work ethic is what got this country started. So that's one way you can talk to them about Christianity, and is through the fact that these laws, Proverbs, in the Bible are real, and if you abide by, you'll live a better life. So that's the way I talked. I just got through talking to my grandson yesterday about this.
And how old is he?
He's how old is he? 16?
16.
And how'd it go? How did he go?
Well, he's always, he and I love each other. So he's always listens to me, whether he'll do anything, I don't know.
And so what, I mean, when you see young people out there who have a deep faith or a deep politics, and what's your counsel to them, to us, to be more effective for these things we believe in?
Well, I have a niece that's now in Colorado, Colorado State, is that, I think it is, in Fort Collins, and she's in the heart of all of the liberal, and I would love to counsel her and say, keep your Christian faith. Don't let them talk to you out of it, because the green side, the left side, most of them are non-Christians. They can't think the way they do, which they believe in population control, which means that it's fine to let people starve to death. And that's not Christian faith. So I try to tell my niece, don't lose your Christian principles in this ultra green atmosphere out here in Colorado.
Yeah. Well, good word. Well, thank you, Jim. Well, now we're going to turn it over to some question and answer. Just as a reminder, we ask you to express a question, not a statement, to do it in one breath. And if you could, try to address a specific person so that we can kind of dive right in and run through a few. We've got some mics on the floor, so maybe hands up for questions. Let's see, we've got one right here in the back. And if you would speak into the mic so that the folks upstairs can hear it too.
Okay, for Jim Henry, continuing on the theme of building your business on Christian principles, could you discuss what role tithing played for you?
Yes, I've always believed in tithing. I think it's harder for people just starting out to tithe. We've given 50% of our wealth to foundations that's dedicated on Christian principles and to helping people, primarily in Midland, Texas. So I think that's one of the rules, and if you'll follow that rule very carefully, you'll be blessed. And the Lord says He'll bless you in return more than anything you can imagine. And He has blessed us, Paul and our family. He has blessed us tremendously. It's amazing how that works. It really works. So I think tithing is extremely important.
Good. Next up, hands up.
They got enough.
Yeah, sure. Mike's coming on over.
This is for Jim Langer, and tell me about the influence that your wife has had in all of this that you've accomplished over the years.
Well, I can tell you that maybe it's my medical background, but she thinks that entrepreneurship is a disease. She doesn't understand why I do things that I do or think that I do a lot of times. I have to say that, there was a point in the last Saturday of April of 1979 where I was just done. I tried everything I knew. The company was bankrupt. The only guy in the company with any business experience was an attorney and an accountant, and he had resigned that day. And I think we're down to 8 or 9 employees, and it was really hopeless. And it occurred to me that, I had counseled quite a number of people in my medical practice, and I knew that the number one cause of divorce was financial problems, just at that time. And so it occurred to me, maybe I better check in with Cecilia and see if she was okay with me. And so I sat her down and explained how bad it was, basically, and she listened. And we had just moved into a new house, and I explained that we'd have to sell that house and move back into the one-bedroom apartment. Of course, we had 3 kids by this time, and it didn't sound too good. But I laid it out there as plainly as I could, and I said, I just need to know if you want to still be with me. And I honestly didn't know what she was going to say. We weren't having any troubles that I in particular, but I didn't think this is what she'd signed up for. And so she told me that as long as I still loved her, she didn't care if we lived in a tent. And boy, that really buoyed my hope and my faith and my determination to keep at it. And literally that same afternoon, we just went up to the bedroom and got down on our knees and started praying. And I just said, Lord, I thought this is what you wanted me to do, but I've obviously messed this up, something terrible. And I don't know what to do. I'm exhausted. I've been working 24-hour shifts in the emergency room, then going over it and working, until 7, 8 at night at the company, and then go home and go to bed, and then do another 36, and I did that for almost 3 years. And I was totally exhausted. I mean, you get to the point where you can't even think straight. And so I said, Lord, I'm done. I am done. I don't have more ideas. I don't have any more energy. I'm exhausted. If you want to make something out of this company, then you do it, because I'm done. And I meant it. I mean, it wasn't like, Lord bailed me out. I was spent. I had nothing, no reserve left. And I could write a book on the next 60 days, but I can tell you that in 60 days, we had sold every hospital bed that we could manufacture the rest of the year, and we were completely out of debt. And I had been raised in a Christian home, but I went to college and medical school, and I thought all was really hot stuff, and I decided I didn't really understand all this evolution stuff, so I decided I was an agnostic. And that way, it was kind of convenient, because I believed in God, but he was just up there somewhere making universes or whatever God did. And there was no accountability, because as I would say at that time, he doesn't care what I wear today. And that day, when we got down on our knees, changed everything for me, changed my life completely. And I know that it's real now. It's not for so many things in so many ways. It's a walk of faith, and it's something we don't know or we can't see. But since that time, I've had a relationship with the Lord that I don't know why He's blessed me so much with this, but I know that it's real, and that He loves me, and that He cares about me. And frankly, looking back, I was so obnoxious that I don't know why in the world, if I'd have been God, I'd have hit that guy with a light. So anyway, He has love and mercy for us that is beyond anything we could imagine or we could ever have.
And the same kind of faith Travis had when he drew that line.
Well, I think we have time for one more question. Any other hands out there? Yeah. Okay, great.
All three of you touched on hard work, education, success. To all three of you, or Mr. McDonough in particular, since you didn't ask in particular, could you tell us about making opportunity for yourself and taking advantage of that?
I believe so. Kind of how to make opportunity for yourself and take advantage of it. If you kind of seem like you're given a bad lot, maybe how do you go out and create an opportunity for yourself?
Let me do that. I'll do this real quick, because it's one of my pet peeves. I have two pet peeves about business. One is, these are sayings that everybody knows. Opportunity knocks but once. That is pure baloney. In our society today, opportunity's knocking every week. You have to be careful to choose the right opportunity, because what I prefer to say, opportunities like buses. If you miss one, there'll be another one come along very soon. So that is a key element. There are so many opportunities. Stick with what you know. Take opportunities in the area and the field of your expertise. And I'm sure lost a lot of money in things, trying to get another education, a whole new business or science that I didn't know anything about, and only to figure out that I should have stayed with medicine that I did know a little bit about. And the second one is, if you build a better mousetrap, the world will beat a path to your door. That is baloney. If you don't have a better mousetrap, don't even bother. And if you do have a better mousetrap, you better market it like crazy. You better market better than anybody else in the world, because there are going to be 40 other guys that have a mousetrap just like yours in about a year or two. So, marketing in any business setting is the most important thing. and be very careful with opportunities, because there's a lot of them, and a lot of them look really good. And if you're motivated like I am to, to heal every disease of mankind, they're not all gonna work, I can tell you. And so, just choose your opportunities carefully.
So the other thing I'd like to comment on is, there's no one that escapes problems. There are problems, and you're gonna have problems. But don't get yourself at a point to where you think, as Jim says, to where there's just no way out, and give up on what you're doing.